Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And I am Virtue, being joined, as always, with Big Vito LaGrasso. Hey, man, what's up today? Memorial Day weekend, man.
Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all the servicemen who served our country. Greatly appreciate your work. Virtue, we got a lot of topics to go through. So I am so happy to be here on this Sunday night, just hanging out and talking about great things. We have a lot of good topics for you people. I hope you guys have been enjoying the show. Virtue, why don't you take it away?
Well, let's get the bad news out of the way first. And there were some deaths this past week.
Yeah.
First one I want to talk about is member of Crime Time, Shad Gaspard. And he was at Venice Beach with his family and out in the ocean with his son, and a riptide came in. I'm not a big ocean guy, so I don't know how that stuff works. But there was distress. A rescue team was called and got there. It looked like they had a chance to save Shad, but he wanted to make sure they saved the son first. By the time they got around to saving him, he was submerged. And basically what ended up happening, they couldn't find him. And a day or two later, his body washed up, so he drowned. Tragic news. What do you have to say on this kind of thing? I mean, this is the stuff you don't like talking about. But I know the Big Vito brand supporters want to hear your take. And there's been other tragedies in wrestling involving wrestlers. So what do you have to say about Shad?
I want to say, I really didn't comment much during the week on some certain things, and I waited for the show. I just want to say that Shad Gaspard, he was there when I was there in WWE, and nice guy. A lot of great people had a lot of great things to say about him. Very nice man. He's done a lot of good things in the community. He was very vocal on politics. It was him and Mike Bucci used to go back and forth and argue, which was pretty hilarious at times. But the both of those guys were best of friends, so it was no harm, no foul, just exchanging points of view. If I'm correct, he did stop an armed robbery at one time. If I'm correct,
he did. And, it was an armed robbery, even though I think it was only a pellet or a BB gun. But I mean, at the time, you don't know. You don't know what these crazy people are carrying.
But I just wanted to say that, him a man always puts his family ahead of himself. He wanted to make sure his son was, safe. And you can only have the utmost respect for that as a family man. It's sad that he got taken under by the great waves. You're trying to just get by in this world right now and trying to enjoy life and enjoying your family. So, I mean, like I said during the week, condolences to his family. You are a hero, my friend, and I hope you're looking down on your family, and so they'll be safe the rest of their days here. But you are, in my book, you are a hero because you saved your son's life.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree. And we'll follow. This will be one topic here, because the other tragedy, I was not familiar with. I don't follow the Japanese wrestling. I think she was in Stardom over in Japan. Female wrestler, 22 years old. Her ring name was Hana Kimura.
Yes.
And she committed suicide. And it all leads to the potential, the cyberbullying. I don't want to get into the weeds of the story, but, probably, had some mental issues. It would have been nice if I don't know if people knew, sometimes it creeps up on, but it's too late. But anybody that ever has any of these feelings or issues, I mean, there are suicide hotlines. You might have friends and family. Let me call somebody. So what bothers me with this, cyberbullying is not cool. It's one thing to go on Twitter and you play a gimmick, but you don't you get in a wrestling mode, right? You don't sit there and belittle people and wish they would die and tell them they're no good. You kind of do it in the wrestling, like a villain.
Right.
But there are people out there that just want to make people feel bad personally. And that's awful, Vito. And then the other thing that bothers me is I love the fact when people get emotional and sympathetic and want to show support after something like this happens. But it makes me angry that it takes a tragedy and a death. And you could say the same thing with Shad, for fans to really come out and talk about these people. I get so upset when I see, because I don't know what's sincere and what's not. So what's your take on this? This has a lot of layers to it.
All right, guys, let me tell you something. You know, being on the other side here and being a celebrity and being somebody who's you know, well known in the community, and it is the most difficult thing to take people's abuse, especially when they. I'll give you Facebook just to say, you post something, and 50,000 people jump on your Facebook. You're an idiot. You're a fool. You're this. You're that. Just like I'm in the Mike Tyson group. Now I know my stuff, and I give my points, and I'm a Mike Tyson fan, and I talk. You're an idiot. You should go troll somebody. You should kill yourself. And this is what people are saying to me. I don't think they realize that they're talking to me, and these are just regular people in a Facebook, and in a group. I don't take. For me, I could care less what you have to say. For others, when you bully people, and then it's not just bullying. You can make comments, but you don't know the other person. Like, there are a lot of keyboard warriors out there. There are a lot of guys who talk tough, but when you meet them in person, they ain't got nothing to say. But people actually take this to heart. And when you're passionate about something and you're sitting there, and everybody's psychic is different, especially when you're going through all the stuff we're going through today. It breaks your heart in a certain sense that people are not strong enough to withstand the comments and the cruelty and everything. And they tell you when you first start wrestling, and this goes way back 30 years, you got to have tough skin.
Yeah.
And you got to be thick-skinned to be in this business or in the limelight, because people are going to crap on you 24. I mean, there was a thing about Dave Bautista posting about political views, right? And it came up on the feed on Facebook, and the comments that I read, that's because I know Dave and I know what type of person he is, right? And there's really not a mean bone in his body. I mean, he's got a certain views and he does his thing and he's successful and everything. But when they abused his acting, you're an overpaid athlete, you have a big mouth, all because he was saying, I'm not politics, guys, believe me, I don't know nothing more. I'm not a politician. I don't know much about the politic game, but he said have an open ballot, send it in. He doesn't want to go. And he had his views against President Trump. The people that attacked him for his wrestling, his acting, who he was, you're an overpaid athlete, you're a jerk, you're this,
It's
why?
Stupid. It's nonsense.
Why? Because people like us are supposed to take your guff because we're your fans and you think you have a right. We're human beings. We have family. It's just like I had a stalker, right, that attacked me, my family, and was continually hammering me. And this is something that was going on for 20 years. 20 years. It finally stopped, thank God. But the things I had to go through to get it stopped, and even going through the police and going through a detective and going to the district attorney, it still didn't stop until finally it stopped. Guys, take pity on people. Don't be such cruel bastards. You're harsh. You're just seeing what some young lady did who had her whole life ahead of her. And if I'm not mistaken, she slit her wrist and said, this is what you did to me. She couldn't handle it and showed a picture. Now as she signed off. That's a terrible way to go. If you ever have a problem, like David said, and you can't deal with stuff, call somebody, call a friend.
Yeah, it reminds me of Chris Canyon. Chris Canyon committed suicide. So it's happened in the wrestling business. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what? Guys commit suicide on different levels, but when you actually take your life and it's over Twitter.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it's.
Oh God.
Now maybe she did have more underlying issues too that we don't know about. That's a possibility.
It's possible, but just the fact that it came out like that, people, it's a shock. It's overwhelming. You know what I mean? And it's not like somebody saving their son. This is something totally different, and something that out where you're really shocked by it, because why would you commit suicide over what people say? And people need to lighten up on people. You sit there and you comment and you don't know people and you just want to bury them. It's just like on Twitter, and like I'll post things and people have these nasty comments.
Yeah.
No, you don't like my post and stay off my page. People on Facebook.
They can't help themselves. That's why they're called the trolls. That's why I'm the troll slayer, Vito, trying to rid the community of those just people that just sit there and have nothing better to do. It's one thing to try to make a fair comment, but like when they wish ill will, like that's just those are nasty human beings.
No, they're nasty human beings. Like it happens a lot on my page. People who insult my wife when they say things, or people on trolls on Twitter. I look at it, I shake my head. God forbid you come near me, come near my wife, come to my house, or you want something like before something like that happened. God forbid. I'm waiting for you. Don't think I ever lay down. I'm always watching what my surroundings are and everything. I'm waiting for you. God forbid you come to my house or you do something to my family. I feel bad for you. But I'm thick-skinned and I'm able to handle these things. It's very sad what society has turned into. And I'm going to tell you another thing. Social media has ruined individuals. It has ruined wrestling because there's no kayfabe, there's no nothing. And the wrestling business was a lot better off without it.
That's a great point. I agree, dude. And before we continue with our wrestling talk, so rest in peace. You know, it sucks. I hate talking about news like that, even over on No DQ. Basketball, NBA, like the rumors have circulated again about this Disney World thing. I really think they got to figure something out soon. I mean, if they're not going to play in front of fans, that's fine. You know, test these players. I don't know, but they got to get these playoffs going, man. I mean, I want people to be safe, right, with this virus because they still don't have a cure or vaccine. But at the same time, I mean, people have been working out on the front lines and other things. NBA is not front lines, but man, they could really help society and give them some sports. Do you think, and we talked about this before, but I swear to God, the last few days I keep hearing this, the rumor circulating again. Is the NBA going to come back before baseball and before anything else?
Here's the thing I don't understand. Okay, now
I need it, Vito.
All right, I'm gonna give it to you. Right, we are still fighting the virus. Okay.
Yep.
And the numbers are still going up, especially in Florida, because people are hitting the beaches, and every day we still have more and more cases. Right now, they want to bring it to Disney. That means people have to travel back and forth from all over the different countries. Are they going to make all these teams stay at the Disney resorts and open up and quarantine themselves to Disney and then go to the basketball court and then go back to the hotel? Or are they going to come flying in and out and with the chance that, hey, there's a good chance you'll be infected. Now, on the flip side of this, Major League Baseball, okay, they're having a big discussion argument over what your salary should be for the season because it doesn't stipulate how many games you play. It's a season. And then players are saying, and now that I get more into it, they're saying, why should I risk myself and come back for a quarter pay when I could possibly die playing ball when there's no vaccine and no nothing? I'm putting my family at risk.
Blake Snell on Tampa Bay. So say you start a season, there's no virus going on, and halfway through the season you get hurt. I believe you still get paid your contract, right?
You do get paid your contract, but these baseball players have a good point. Why should I take a cut of pay for a season when I signed? There's no number of games you have to play in your contract, which is true, right? And a lot of these players make a good point, you know, and it's not just their salaries, but it's a part of the TV deal and revenue that they draw. Are we going to get a piece of this? Are we going to be compensated? Is it going to be 50-50? Now, in New York, Governor Cuomo is saying they want to open up the Nets and Knicks practice facility. You're opening up a practice facility where it's the worst it is in the world in New York City. Yeah. How do you do that? That's not, I mean, you're putting players at risk unless if the NBA said, okay, whoever wants to come back this season, you come back and play. If you don't want to play, that's fine also. And you give the people the option to have a season or don't have a season, just like in baseball. But there should be some kind, if the season does go on and you choose not to play, you should be compensated and still get some portion of your money.
Yeah. And I like the Disney idea. And if they got to travel there and stay there until the playoffs are over or they go home and they're eliminated, so be it. Now, I don't know, would the Western teams do that Disney World out in Florida and would the Eastern teams do Disney World or would they all travel to Florida?
No,
I don't know.
They're all traveling to Florida.
Florida.
They're all coming to Disney. Okay. Now, but like I said, Will they have everybody stay in Florida during the playoffs? And they're talking about adding more teams, going 1 through 12, so more teams make the playoffs. That means a team like the Knicks, who were a lottery team, all of a sudden make the playoffs, and you're like, wait a second, how did the Knicks make the playoffs and they're horrible?
Why would they do that, Vito? Is that for the seeds that are near the 8th seed that are still close in contention that missed out on the opportunity to get up there because the regular season would be over?
I would say they're trying to get more people to get more of a payday. I'm looking at it that way.
Yeah.
If they do it that way, it's more games for people to watch. So they're trying to give you more by expanding the NBA season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys, it's a no-win situation. And then we have football coming up, okay? And football's in the same boat. You know, what are you going to do? Everybody's still soliciting. Joe Flacco just signed a contract with the Jets. Hey, he signed a cheapo contract because there's no big free agent market, right? And the guy who's going to be the dumbest guy on the face of the earth is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Did you see who they signed?
Dallas?
Yeah.
Well, the last time I knew they got Kitna, or not Kitna. Who's the other guy?
Dalton. Dalton, right? Dak Prescott wants $45 million a year, and you won nothing. You're out of your mind. What's your Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Who's got the most rings? Who's got the best playoff pedigree? He's playing for $25 million. Drew Brees is playing for $25 million. Dak Prescott, who won nothing, and
exactly.
You want $45 million.
These players are nuts. Unbelievable. So, and that football will be weird if they play in front of no fans, but we'll have to see where this goes. And I think the closest we're going to get to playoff action, potentially, I think, is the NBA. So I hope that this works out. I hope the logistics of it, I hope the teams, the owners, the players, they all come to some agreement and they figure this thing out. I'd love to be watching some competitive basketball right now on TV, Vito. Let's move on back to wrestling here. So Cody Rhodes, AEW Double or Nothing took place over the weekend. And the finals for the TNT Championship tournament were Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson in his corner versus Lance Archer, also formerly known as Lance Hoyt, with Jake the Snake Roberts in his corner. Now, Mike Tyson was also a presenter in this match, but we'll reserve the conversation for their use of Mike Tyson for the next round there. Cody Rhodes went over, okay? Now, I get it, right? Babyface, make people feel good. It's a TNT championship. And when I saw that picture on Twitter of Cody and Mike Tyson in the middle of the ring, I was like, wow, did they really just pay Mike Tyson for one photo? But again, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. What's your take here? Because I felt like Archer should have been the first champion because he's a monster. Unless Tyson would have punched him out or something like that happened, which it didn't. How do you do this? Like, you could make Cody chase Archer for longer and eventually get the title. Vito, I'm a little upset with this booking here. Am I too much of a fan thinking of it that way?
Nope.
Have at it. What do you think here?
Guys, let me tell you something. The boys should never book, and the boys should never be in charge. And this is what I've said all along. And you know what? They needed Jericho to be champion to start this off, to give them recognition. Second champion was an established champion in Jon Moxley. That's fine, okay? They're going through the battle. Jericho hasn't even been near a championship or sniffed the championship. He's off playing well with the others and elevating everybody else, okay? Now, you have Cody Rhodes. He's been trying to be a star and be a champion for so long. You're booking. Babyface chases the heel. Again, I'm going to say it. The babyface chases the heel.
Yep.
Why did you go over on Lance Archer, who you put some dime into, TV time into, Jake the Snake with, and you made yourself look like a giant mark? I'm saying it here. You didn't have to win the title. You just beat somebody who's probably the biggest guy in your company next to Billy Gunn, okay? And Weed the People, Swagger.
Swagger.
Right? Jack Swagger.
Well, they also have Brian Cage now. He's a beast.
Okay, we'll bring that up in a second. Now, you got, why did you have to beat this guy? It is horrible booking, right? You make this guy come from Japan. It's the same thing like what happened with Luke Gallows and Anderson. They went over there, they came over, and did they get the titles right away? No. They beat up the Dudleys, then they went on a hiatus. They tried to make fools of them. They gave them the titles. They took the titles off, gave them the title. They were so up and down. They did the same thing with this guy. Horrible booking by AEW. On the second note, something I didn't bring up before. All right. You want to talk about somebody who they booked and they had great aspirations for. And I'm going to tell you that you don't need a manager when you're going to do favors. And I'm going to tell you, when you do something that's obviously wrong and you hit somebody with a chair shot and you split their head open, okay? And from that point on, Sean Spears has been on Job City for so long. You mess up one time and you get that crazy and reckless, and you hurt not only one of your best friends, but you hurt the booker of the company. How are they supposed to put you in anything else when you crack somebody's head open? Reckless.
Yeah.
He has been on a downward spiral ever since, and he has done nothing. And the guy has a manager. So what does that say for the manager?
Not very much.
Jesus Christ. He lost to Dustin Rhodes. And Dustin Rhodes is no slouch, but Dustin Rhodes was putting over all the guys. And then this kid comes along, and he's doing the job. Yep. And I'm like, and nobody picked this up except for me today, that Sean Spears hit the chair shot of hell and derailed his career.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you think with the lack of what AEW has in terms of wrestlers that people know, Sean Spears worked in WWE versus the people that they brought in from the indies, you think they would have pushed him, but they didn't, and it makes sense now that you mentioned the chair shot to Cody.
Chair shot of hell, my friend. And and I like Sean Spears, and I know him personally. And I'm not saying nothing bad against him. But what's obvious that nobody has brought up is the chair shot from hell where he split Cody's head open. That's enough for me. Hey, you don't know how to handle a chair. You don't know how to handle your business, right? And you talk about you should have took extra good care of Cody because it gave you a job right out of WWE. They gave you a manager. They gave you a push. As soon as you did that, you were finished, done, in the box. I'll see you later. Collect the paycheck. Hopefully it works out. Go ahead to the next subject.
I got to give Cody a little blame there because he decided to take didn't want to use the hands. I mean, with CTE today, I thought that was pretty asinine. Now, that TNT title belt. Okay, the rumor is that it's not finished. And I don't know if it's because of the coronavirus, the place that makes these belts were shut down. There's been plenty of time that this TNT title tournament's been going on. Vito, how in the hell do you not have this title belt finished? Especially if you're going to have Mike Tyson come out and present it. It looked like worse than the 24/7 title. Now, again, it's just a prop, but this is supposed to be the equivalent to WWE, a competitive company. Come on, man. Well, you got any take on that?
It was hot. Somebody dropped the ball.
Yeah.
They had enough time. If they were going to do this, if you're planning ahead 6 months, then you're going to have a belt just as good, if not better, than the championship belt. And for it to come out like that, it looked terrible. It was horrible. It looked like one of a backyard fed belts.
Yeah.
They could have polished up one of Dusty's old belts that they had sitting in the basement, and they could have handed him that instead. Be creative. Hey, listen, your father always wanted you to have this. Dustin could have came out and presented it to him. Our father wanted you to have this. I just wanted to present this to you along with Mike Tyson. Better booking. I ain't a booker, but I just came up with an idea. And this is just something I'm thinking off the top of my head, guys. I don't sit there and watch. No, I did not watch a pay-per-view. No, I just go what I see. And, guys, I thought it was garbage.
Now, before we talk about how they use Tyson and the fact that Tyson will be back Wednesday night, Brian Cage made his debut. This is a very big built guy, huge, and he's a lucha style as well as powerhouse. So he's trying to have the look like a Vince McMahon looks, but try to have the wrestling ability that today's fans look like. Never made it to WWE, chose to leave Impact, came to AEW. Does he have potential? They're pairing him up with Taz. He won the ladder match to win already has a shot at the AEW championship. First match, he gets an opportunity to win a ladder match for a Money in the Bank, whatever their version of it is. What's your quick take on Brian Cage? I think this guy can be a star, but you got to get behind somebody like this. You know anything
Now,
about him I don't that would say otherwise?
I've watched him work, and to me, he's a big muscle guy. Now, I've seen a couple pictures of him. He just looked bloated. He didn't look cut up. He had the stomach was oval and it just popped out. And yes, he's built. Yes, he looks like a bull. Yes, he looks like he could destroy. Yes, they did put Taz with him, and there was some wise guys on there. So, oh, this is the new Lesnar Heyman. No, the guy is not a very good talker. Taz is a good. They're trying to give the guy a push and a rub. Okay. Now, if he works like an animal and doesn't do any lucha stuff and does power stuff, and he stays grounded, he could be good. If he's going to do flying things and flips and do everything, just stay home. We have enough of that. You have a whole company of those.
That's a good point. And I know he can do that, but the fact that you mentioned he should be the power guy and the ground and pound guy, because that's what he looks like. That's I agree with that. The more I think about it, because why cater to the fans, right? Well, casuals don't want to see that. If they look at a big guy like him, they tune it on. They want to see people get destroyed by a big guy like that.
Will this guy be a submission machine and pull out submissions? Will this guy do suplexes because he's with Taz? That's the thing to watch, because if he's going to be Taz's boy, you're going to take Taz's style. So if he can do this and get Taz's style and be the suplex machine, and let's hit suplexes and let's show your power, then I'm all for it. Right off the bat, when you put somebody for the title, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
So why put them in that position? Build him up. There's plenty of guys in the company before him. He comes out with Taz. You know what I mean? Maybe he takes his own. Maybe he takes his own towel, throws it to Taz, Mr. Perfect style. I just came up with this idea. Goes in, takes care of business, gets a towel from Taz, wipes his face off, and friggin' hands it back to Taz. There, now you have something. Not saying Taz is a towel boy, but
Here's what I like about Brian Cage. He's a guy that could get put in the main event, or at least in main event matches, that's not tied to WWE. So I like AEW. They need some people like that. So we'll bring this back up. We'll see how he develops, how they book him. So stay tuned, BigVitoBrand.com. We'll bring this one back. Now, Mike Tyson, okay? And you're going to love the main event, because the main event's one of our good old faithful guys, and you have a great reason why that's going to happen. But before we get to that, here's how they used Tyson. They brought him out for that championship match with Cody and Archer, presented that title. Mike didn't seem like he had that excitement like when he was in WWE. He was actually caught yawning. I know that can happen. JR has been caught yawning. I don't know why cameras will pan to people when they could be vulnerable for something silly like that. There was no crowd in there to keep Mike pumped. So I just don't think they utilized him correctly. Like, no showdown with Archer. No, like their tense moment, like Jake backed away, and I get that. I just feel like they only signed Tyson. I don't know how much he even got for this, just to hold Cody's hand up with the title and get that photo. There was even a photo before the event, Vito. I'm scratching my eye because it's twitching, because it bothers me so much, that Archer and the heels were on one side and Tyson was in the middle, and then Cody and Brandy were on the other side, and they did like a, hi, let's break kayfabe. So what's your take on how they used Tyson?
Okay, guys, this is what I talked about from that. Now, they could have did this a lot better, like the UFC tried to do with The Rock when they had the BMF title, right, with Diaz and that other kid, right? And The Rock came out, he stood between them. And Diaz is a bad mofo, all right? Now, you bring out somebody like Mike Tyson, okay, you're looking for viewers. Now, Mike Tyson is a world heavyweight champion. He's making a comeback. They put him on there. They put him on there as a presenter. That means he's above the rest. When you don't have Mike Tyson in a suit and tie, come down with the title, hand it to Cody, right? That means more than Mike Tyson being part of the show. You just lessened Tyson's credibility, and you made him a wrestler like like an extra, and the spotlight wasn't on him. It was on the match and the fight. The fact that Tyson was in Cody Rhodes' corner. But what the hell is Arn Anderson doing there, right? And you had him chase Jake the Snake up the ramp, right? And you had Tyson take his shirt off. Why? He's supposed to be a presenter, presenting a prestigious title, the first title, the TNT title, making it a championship to be remembered on this special occasion. And they made it look like a bunch of kids doing this. The booking for this was terrible. You brought down Tyson's credibility, the credibility of the presentation of the title, and doing that where you're holding somebody's hand up. They could have brought in, name somebody who's retired, who was a champion. They could have brought in Ric Flair, right? Rumor had it, Ric Flair didn't sign a contract. They
Well,
could have brought
Sting could have been an option.
Sting could have came out and did it, right? They could have, but you're going to bring Mike Tyson. You could have brought Holyfield. You could have put a Tyson Fury in that spot. There's a lot of guys you could have put, but you picked Mike Tyson because he became hot. He's making a comeback. He's the hot name right now. But then you have him take off his shirt, and then you have him try to fight, and then you have him, then afterwards he's in there with no shirt on. Totally cheapened the whole event, guys. Along with Cody Rhodes being the champion, you cheapened it even more by having Mike Tyson be one of the boys.
Now, you know, we know back in the day he punched Michaels, he punched Jericho, right? But there were reasons why he got, you know, if he was going to take a shirt off and get mad, they should have had some reason for him to get physically upset. If not, you're right. They should have kept him as a, you know, prestigious there to show the championship. He's coming back. They didn't originally announce this. He's coming back Wednesday night. Okay. Guess what else is happening Wednesday night? This is our main event. So Tyson's going to be on Dynamite Wednesday night and they're promoting it now. I almost wonder if they feel they need to get more out of him and they got feedback or the yawn that were on camera or something. And they're like, shit, we got to get Tyson back and do something really good with him. Guess who's coming to NXT? NXT, not the main roster. NXT, which is against Dynamite. Somebody that was just furloughed. Kurt Angle. Our buddy Kurt Angle's coming back. So, Vito, what is your take on this? Is this reactionary?
Reactionary 100%. They have to fight fire with fire. They're going to bring back Kurt Angle. Is Kurt Angle going to draw viewers? Absolutely not. Mike Tyson is the ticket, but they had to put somebody on. They had to put somebody in that spot just to make the viewers go. I'm telling you, there is no competition between Kurt Angle and Mike Tyson. And if I'm going to tune in, who do you want to see? I want to see Mike Tyson. I don't want to see Kurt Angle. I've seen it. I've done it. You got furloughed, and now they're bringing him back at your convenience. Why? Because they're trying to save money. Why? Because they don't take care of the wrestlers. Why? Because they're looking out for themselves and not everybody else's pocket. Guys, it's a bullshit move. If I were you, I'd go watch Mike Tyson and look at that show.
Yep. I mean, and think about it, Vito. AEW has been barely winning these Wednesday night ratings, but I mean, these two shows combined for 1.2, 1.3 million people.
Right.
Like that's where we're at on Wednesday nights. And pretty soon Raw and SmackDown could dip.
What was the rating for Raw this past week? Did you get a count?
No. But I mean, it's still flirting under 2. I don't think it's hit 2 since all this crap's been going on.
Guys.
Under 2 million people.
Under 2 million. Guys, the wrestling business, just by this week's events, it's just going down the shitter. And it's sad. And when you see booking like this and you see what goes on, they're not letting the people with the experience make the booking decisions, because I bet you that you can't have the boys book because the boys are booking for themselves. And how are you supposed to tell your boss how your match is supposed to go when you're working for him? You're not working with him. So you can't voice your opinion. I've said this numerous of times, right? Vince McMahon is Vince McMahon, and he's the top dog. He says yes, and he says no. It's not that way at the AEW, because it's yes, and it's going to be yes. Because it's going to be done my way, and if I'm in the match, I'm going to go over, I'm going to do this. Guys, I just wish they would make somebody with experience. You got Arn Anderson, 10,000 years worth of experience. You got Jake the Snake, 10,000 years. Let them write the TVs. Why aren't you utilizing their knowledge? And I know they're saying
Diamond Dallas Page.
But they're going along with this because they're collecting a paycheck. And that's the reason right now. Yeah, Cody, that sounds great. Oh yeah, this is a great idea. They are schmoozing him and using the dollars. And it gets to me. Have a set of balls, guys. Stand up and speak your mind. Remember what the code was for wrestling back in the day. When Wrestling 101 worked, babyface chases the heel. Your babyface gets beat and gets beat and gets beat. Finally, when the big money is on the line, that's when you win. This off the bat, you brought a monster from Japan. Why did you bring him here? Why didn't you utilize him? And now where does he go from here?
Yep. Dude,
I
and
would
so we
like to
don't know
know.
what as for Tyson Wednesday night on Dynamite, we don't really know what they're going to do with him. Kurt Angle's going to, I believe, be a referee in a Matt Riddle versus somebody in a match. So, like I said, whoop-de-doo. We'll see what happens. I'm sure if anything exciting happens, we can talk about it next week. But with wrestling today, anything exciting is suspect. Anything else you'd like to bring on the table before we go home?
We have covered the good and the bad this week. Our condolences from the Big Vito brand, Getting Color, to the families that lost loved ones. Guys, try to keep your head up during this coronavirus. Stay safe. I know it's iffy because half the nation is telling you go out, half the nation is telling you stay in. Cases are going up. Everybody is still in jeopardy. And the one thing I would tell you, just from knowing and, you know, um, guys, I don't know if you know this, but nursing homes and assisted living and places like that have been on lockdown for 2 months. I could tell you, and Virtue could tell you, as soon as you open the door to these places, you're going to see cases hit those places, and then what do you do then? How do you keep it? How do you keep them safe? You got the Florida beaches, right? They're open, and what we have? More and more cases of coronavirus. The people are letting out. People are begging to be let out for business to open and just to be gone. But guys, we're still fighting this virus, and we're still fighting. And if nobody follows the rules, it's going to happen. They're going to wind up shutting everybody and shutting everything down again, and it's going to be for a longer time. Then what do we do?
Yep. Well,
Go
let's just
ahead.
hope.
Close
Let's
out
hope
the
we get
show,
a
my man.
vaccine. Let's hope we get a cure and a
Oh,
vaccine. So anyway, interact with Vito and I. He is on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. I am on Twitter at @NoDQ_Virtue. We know every week we get some people that say, hey, they love the show and this and that. It's great to interact with you on social media. But that's it, Vito. I love doing the show with you every week. It's a great escape. And I know the people that listen to it on Anchor and all the podcast platforms that watch us on Twitch, they appreciate us doing this every week. So we thank you. Make
thank
sure
you
you
very
check
much.
out thebigvitobrand.com. Make sure you check out. Oh, yeah, before we go home, what about the no DQ Mr. Aaron Rift, who we're still waiting to hear
All right,
from?
Mr.
Almost
Fiance
forgot.
Aaron
Is
Riff.
that at least important? I almost forgot.
I mean, I mean, we saved the worst for last here at the Big Vito brand, Getting Color. And Aaron Riff, I tell you, yeah, we want Vito one. Your ratings haven't been anything. I watched this week's show, and Virtue, I called you right after you did the show. You didn't pick up because you were busy, but I got some things to tell you off camera that I don't want to, say anything on camera. But we need to talk, guys. Get on Aaron Riff. I know he's probably on that weekend with all the no DQ money and not paying the boys, and Virtue sitting here waiting for some. He didn't even get a gift certificate to Olive Garden this week. It's terrible, terrible. All right, close out the show. We'll talk afterwards.
So for the Big Vito and the Big Vito Brand, I am Virtue. Again, make sure you go to thebigvitobrand.com. Follow him on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. This is Getting Color. I am Virtue, and we will be back again next week. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening. We'll see you.